this jurisdiction where I'm at, one of the tricks that the entity around here has played over these people for a long, long time is the divide and conquer tactic of racism, right? It's very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Fermented around in the South. And, when I say systemic racism around here, I know that it bounces off a lot of people, or they don't quite drill into what I'm talking about as deep as they probably should. I'm talking about systemic racism in that the system itself is operating in a manner that is detrimental to people based off of certain demographics. Okay, the system. That does not mean that every individual operating within that system would identify as a racist. Like, a lot of them probably wouldn't. Most of them probably would not identify as a racist that are facilitating, enabling, encouraging, and empowering a systemically racist system. They're just doing their job, right? They're just a guard down at your local private prison. They're just, they're just a law enforcement officer that's, doing their job because the laws that are on the books, the codes, the statutes, and the acts are the law, and I'm just doing my job, right? And that's what most people think. But the systemic racism, I mean, I've been observing, the people around here for maybe 3 decades, and it's very cogent. And how it manifests is, you have, unfortunately, a group of people with a mindset that goes back a long way of, I don't know, people farming, or, I call it modern day slavery, but people farming. And how that works down in the South is that, melanated people down here, minorities, they undergo an enormous amount of oppression from the system. It's almost like they don't have a leg up at all. Even when they come into the world, the deck is already stacked against them so much that it's not going to be long before a melanated young man ends up in custody, in a cage, and on paper for the rest of their life, and typically for a victimless crime. And the system just feeds off of them, right? And it's pretty bad, and it's pretty bad down here. And that goes back to, days when Caucasians were way more open about what they were doing. You know what I'm saying? But they're still doing it. They're just doing it with some wordplay and some statutes, codes, and acts and ordinances. But it's still going on, the people farming. And but when that had to kind of change, verbiage had to change. And so, it's kind of like that Poltergeist movie. When it comes to this stuff, they move the tombstones, but they don't move the bodies, so that's why you got the haunting going on. And so the people, the natives around here, their perspectives change, and a lot of them wouldn't think that they were racist because of, well, put it to you this way. A lot of Caucasians in this area don't think they're racist because they have melanated people assimilated into their systems and their structures. Okay. Like if I go talk to Southern Baptist Church, an incorporated Southern Baptist Church around here, most of the people there would believe, because they have, some melanated people that they've assimilated into their culture and into their church and into their way of life, that they're not racist because, hey, we got some melanated people here. The same thing goes for within, your local government. Hey, we have, assimilated melanated people into our fabrication that all of this is actually the supreme law and actual government. And so we are clearly not racist, right? And they don't understand that if they are facilitating a system that is oppressing, melanated people, and you're generating revenue off of their life, your hands might not be so clean. But that's kind of how it works around here. That's how the spirit behind this jurisdiction kind of manipulates people, is by getting them to think that, well, if we're assimilated into one another's systems and structures and churches and things like that, that we're not all partaking of a systemically oppressive and racist system when they are. So one of the other ways that I think this is done is, if you guys know, I don't use terms like black or white. They're dumb, they're disempowering, they're dishonest. Black and white, again, is that binary, polarized invitation to identify with a construct that was not given. I mean, that you didn't come to on your own. It was given to you, and it's not an accurate reflection of reality. All right. To illustrate, if you were to ask me to hold up my hand and ask me if I was a white guy, okay, and I said yes, then you would be looking at somebody who was brainwashed, because I am not white. If you were to ask a melanated man to hold up his arm and ask him, are you black? And if he said yes, then you would be looking at someone under mind control, because he is not black. So I hear black and white, and I think of a chessboard, and that means that somebody is moving the pieces around on a board in a binary simulated battle for royal people, black and white, black versus white, divide and conquer. Which is why, the energetic charging of terms like white power or black excellence, it's like, what? Like, these are untruths, right? Everybody is a shade of brown, at best. Maybe I should have Archer do a culture scale, but people are not black and people are not white, but people are adamant about using these terms, and that's the reality, and that's the paradigm. Just like that political scale with Democrats and Republicans, they feed the energy of a false paradigm, and then wonder why things don't change. Well, you can only think in the words you use, man, I guess. So there's that. Now, that's how it kind of, the powers that be and the unseen really keep things under control down here. And, that's sad. It's sad to see. It's sad to be around and watch it play out.
That's the end of this clip, but the full episode is waiting for you. Subscribe to the Downloaded Content Podcast on Spotify or watch on YouTube. For more behind-the-scenes content and exclusive access, sign up for the Downloaded Content newsletter. And while you're at it, pick up Then Came the Flood by Daniel Louis Crumpton, available now wherever books are sold.